Hi, I'm Eric Thomas. I've told this story a couple of different times. I'm going to try something new tonight. It's a bit of a revision. I'm trying to get the right version of this story into the universe. It's true, everything is true, but you know, every history is a revision. Every story is a revision. And so the story is called Getting It Right. I'm going to use Post-it notes because they're an effective form of communication. The story has three parts. The first part is called Jack's Breaths. The second part is called The Pursuit of Happiness. And the third part is called Fried Chicken. I said, God, listen. As you do. We gotta talk. I'm not making any money. I can't drink the way I want to do. I can't afford to do anything. I've been wearing the same clothes for 5 years. We need to make a change. You need to get me a job where I make some more money so I can do what I want to do. Or I'll compromise. I will just devote all of my time and my energy and my meager finances to my art. And I'll put on readings and I'll just do stuff for free and I'll just really work at it. And then I waited to see what would happen. And then I met Jonathan and I started to feel differently. I guess I should mention, Jonathan's kind of like a millionaire. He's my age, but there was some like family stocks, I guess, and his family owned a bourbon distillery, which was fantastic. And so when I found this out, I started to feel some kind of way. And I ain't saying I'm a gold digger. But I own a shovel and I like gold. He opened the check presenter and he sort of was taken aback a bit, and he said, "Oh God, this is more money than I've ever spent on a guy before. You must be worth it." And I sort of blindly fumbled across the table and looked at it and focused my eyes, and it was $800. Oh dear. Indeed. and not including tip, and he paid. And we left, and we went back to New York, to Philadelphia rather, and there's this point when you're coming back on the Blue Line from 30th Street Station where you could either keep going to Old City where he lives, or I could get off and catch the Orange Line back down to my home in South Philly. And I don't know, at that point in our relationship, I had started to get a little bored, I guess, you know. It's really boring getting treated nicely all the time. And I don't know, we got to City Hall and he was like, are you going to come back with me? And I kind of felt like, oh, I guess I sort of owe him, you know, a good roller in the hay. But I was like, I was tired and I was super drunk, and I had the number 2. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And I left. Because that's the kind of boyfriend I was back then. And I didn't really feel one way or another about it, but I kept doing things like that. I kept taking and taking and taking from him and not really giving much back because, well, I mean, what was there to give? And I guess eventually he got sick of it and he dumped me, which is fine, I guess. So I did what you always do, you know, in pre-Adele days. Now you just sort of listen to her album for hours. Back then you sort of had to make your way through the wilderness alone. But I did know enough to hide him on Facebook because you can't see your ex on Facebook ever again. But you can't be friends because that makes you look like you're petty. And it was fine. It was all well and good. You know what? Yes. There we go. I hid him on Facebook. This is looking good. We're making good progress. Good job, guys. I hit him on Facebook, and it was fine because around that time I got a job managing a bar at a fancy restaurant in West Philadelphia, and it was just great because that legitimized my daytime drinking, and it paid for my nighttime drinking. And in the afternoons, I had to like create new drinks for the menu, which I messed up a lot. And the great thing about being a bar manager is that people they want to sell you everything. And people would just come in and just like, oh, darling, I've got you a new Shiraz. You've got to taste it. I'm like, oh, well, leave the Shiraz over there. Because all this happened in the 40s, apparently. It was amazing. Everything I wanted, I was getting making more money than I'd ever made in my entire life, and I was learning about alcohol and how it was produced, and I was able to drink literally from the time I got up until the time I went to bed, and I was so excited to be alive. And you know, there's a certain point, I guess, maybe a year later, and like my hangovers got really, really bad. But you know, I mean, I just turned 26, and like that's what, you know, when you get old, like, you know, just elephants stomp on your face after you drink a lot. And so that was totally normal. And you know, there was a time, I guess, sometimes I would go to like this bar called Tavern of Kamek, and you can sit on the second floor and look at one spot, and there's mirrors that meet, and you can see the reflection in two mirrors at the same time, and I would just sit there, like sometimes on Tuesday or Wednesday nights, or Thursdays and Sundays, and also and Fridays and Saturdays if it wasn't too crowded, and I'd sit in that one spot, and I would drink, and I would look at my reflection twice, and I would think about how much I hated myself, which is a weird thing to do when you're so happy.